Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. It's not on the map Mega Random because I have not updated that yet. It is on the map Calm Shores, which is, a lot of people think about it kind of like the map, Anatolia, but it is absolutely not Anatolia. If you go into this map thinking it's Anatolia, you will inevitably lose to someone who is playing it differently. But to talk a little bit about these two players, Kimo is arguably one of the most winningest players of recent memory. If you take a look at the recent S-tier tournaments that have been hosted, Kimo has won or been in the finals of nearly every single one of them. I think the only one he wasn't in recently was Masters of Mythology, which really goes to show what a solid all-around player he is, playing a whole different range of tournament rules, tournament maps. Just an incredibly strong player, and you can see that in the stats here. I do take a couple of points off of his strategy just because I feel like there's a lot more stuff that can be done, and Kimo doesn't play very originally, but he's definitely got a strong strategic understanding of what the meta is, and everything else is really, really strong. But we'll get into game number 2 as it's loading through right now. Spawning in the bottom of the map in the red color, playing as Hades. His name is Kimo. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Zeus. His name is Count Von Count. Yes, the map is indeed Calm Shores. So we do see a little bit of idle time there from Count Von Count out of his towns, and I'm not sure what was going on there. But Count Von Count here, moving off to the side of the water. Same two here is Kimo's villager over here. He's going to be getting this dock up as well. So we'll see how things are going to be going here. But I think the big important thing to realize about this map is that the fishing locations, they aren't safe at all. They're actually a ways away from the shore. If you take a look at, compare it to what Anatolia is, the dock is normally, if this is the water and this is where the dock is, the fish are normally here. So they're a whole big space away from the dock. And not only that, you then have all of this sea over here to make a movement around to harass your opponent. So you can't just leave your boats here and expect to defend, because your opponent can circle around with his boats and raid this water and then retreat back out this way to get yourself into a disadvantageous position. So there's lots of strategy that can actually, and army movement that can actually happen on these water locations to get advantages here. So I'm excited to see that being used here in this game. But the other big difference here is that the map only gives each player 12 fish each on each side. So that means that 18 fishing ship builds are out the window. They're not going to work in this map, so you have to go for a 12 fishing ship build, which, funnily enough, the 12 fishing ship build is something that was it's well documented, it's well played for a very long time, because players didn't realize it's actually more of a vanilla strategy, actually. So on vanilla, there's no shooting docks, so defender's advantage is much, much lower. Yes, you do get defender's advantage in terms of in terms of like your boats getting into your reinforcements getting into the fight a little bit earlier, but you don't get that shooting docks over there. So on maps like Anatolia, maps like maps like Anatolia, maps like Midgard, players would go for a 12 fishing ship build, going up at about 4:45 advance time back then, to give themselves an advantage on the water. Or even they might go for even less, like a 9 fishing ship build. But that was where the build came from. So they've been doing it for ages. As we do see that Count Von Count has actually stolen away some of Kimo's fishing spots over here, as Kimo does claim that one, but there will be some spots back here as well to claim. Nice play from Count Von Count, good awareness, and that's going to give him an advantage in this game, as we do see a dock now getting placed over onto the top side here. And the big question here on this in this game is going to be, do you go one side or do you go two sides? I think you have to go two sides in terms of dropping a dock over here, but do you actually build fishing ship over here or not? Or do you just build boats over here and harass? is the big question. As we see more fish coming through, we do see Kimo managing to claim these spots, so it has inevitably become equal here, as Count Von Count is not going to be able to get any more fishing ships out at 6 fishing ships apiece here. We've got 5 villagers over here for Count Von Count, so he's going for the 4:30 advance time, it looks like, as his temple about to come up. He's just about to get the resources to advance here. He did have a little bit of idle time at this point, so it could have been a 3:15 here, but he will be advancing here, and it will be a 4:30. So it kind of looks like he's going for a 4:30, but he's one villager behind, as this villager going to move over onto this bottom side of the, or top left side of the map and drop a dock here. And this kind of was talking about what version of strategy here is going to be the right way to play. And we'll see how it's going to go. As Athena coming through. We still haven't got an advance time here from Kimo, but it looks like he's going for a 5-minute advance time. I think 5 minutes here is going to be roughly standard, is what my strategic understanding of this map is for the Greek War. I think 5 minutes will become roughly standard here, but we'll have to see, because this is going to be a really, really good example of whether or not this is going to be something that's going to work out, as we do see some fishing ships coming out on this top side of the map. Kimo's already up to 10 fish here compared to Count Von Count 6, but Count will be able to start putting pressure over here, claim this this fishing location over here as well super early, so that's going to drop Kimo down 2 fishing ships here. And we'll see how it's going to go, as Hand Axe coming through onto this location for Count Von Count. He's already getting himself out the trireme over here as well, as fishing ships haven't really continued out from Count Von Count. Just the one here. I don't mind that, because it allows him to drop that into the dock and get some shooting arrows out of that location. But only one dock over here is a little bit scary, as the Minotaur going to be moving through here. Athena just about to pop here for Kimo, as the fishing ship's getting taken out on this location. We do see the villager here getting targeted down, but he doesn't quite get there in time, as that would have been absolutely huge, because it could have been just the one dock he needs to take down. As one fishing ship does go down, the other fishing ship going to be getting back into the dock here. Count Von Count pulling back. He can now put some pressure over onto this location as well, as we still haven't got Kimo building anything out of this position here, as we see some trireme coming down into the top side location as well, as the pressure here from Count Von Count is starting to mount, as we see Chiron coming out. Chiron here to deal. I'm not sure if Chiron is the best of ideas here, because it's going to get bolted nearly immediately here, as the fishing ships still getting pushed back. Count Von Count having a fairly commanding situation here in this game. He needs to kind of control these boats over here to push off these fishing ships a little bit easier. Just Alt S onto these locations over here is completely fine, as that's exactly what he seems like he's doing now. We see some trireme coming out on this position over here. He's got an advantage for Kimo, as it looks like Count's going to have to pull back here. And I like that here, because it gives Count Von Count a little bit more time over on this top side to just win the water. And he will have to continue building some ships here. It would seem he's building some fishing ships out. Surprised to see no barracks or anything, as we do see the Minotaur fighting out on this location. But Kimo's Minotaur is now going to have a special and have a big advantage in this fight here, as he does pull through here. And we see the Chiron coming in onto this position over here. There's a couple more shots coming through. And Count Von Count not paying attention just yet. One villager going to get taken out over here. We still haven't got Count building any units. He does have enough resources here to get an Odysseus out, but another villager going to be getting picked off here, as Count Von Count still not paying attention. Lots of damage coming through onto this location. He's finally going to be retreating back. We haven't seen any production out of this dock just yet. There's the bolt onto the Chiron, as the Odysseus finally coming through here for Count Von Count, but it's still going to be 17 seconds away at this point here, as the villagers about to get targeted down over here as well. He's trying to retreat them out. They do have a couple of low HP units there. Kimo's still getting pushed off of this location over here, as the fishing ship's getting picked off. Good play here from Count Von Count, but he does still have to micro this a little bit. We do see the villagers surrounding the Minotaur there, as the Odysseus does come out. It turns out that the Odysseus was a bit of a waste in the end. But we do see a second town center coming down now for Count Von Count. I like that play. It's got a nice and safe gold mine next to it. There's also berries over here. He's still got a handful of deer. He's got the goats in his main base, as well as berries over here, so plenty of food income to come, as per scene going to be coming through here, as we do see a town center now coming down for Kimo as well. So both players moving fairly nicely into the next stage of the game. We see 13 fishing ships for Kimo to 10 for Count Von Count, but in reality, it's just 9 for Kimo to 10 for Count because he's securing this location over here. We do see Kimo now starting to build some trireme on this top location over here. We'll see if that's going to be a thing that's going to work out for him or not. As Count does have himself 2 docks over here and the trireme advantage, so Kimo kind of needs to get out 6 trireme first. And I think what Count Von Count can do instead of dealing with that is just get himself a 3rd town center. So you do see the Toskapos getting taken out, and the village is going to be moving over onto this location here. Grab this one. It's going to be a little bit tense here because Kimo's spending all of his resources on these archer ships, which Count Von Count already has. Just simply means it's an advantage Count Von Count in a way here moving forward. But these triremes still pushing off fishing ships over here. Nice play where that's concerned. As the town center just about to come up for Count Von Count. These trireme just about to be enough here to be scary, but Count's got resources to make his own trireme here if he needs to, if he wants to hold on to this fishing location over here. There's a world where he kind of doesn't even need to as well, given he's got the 3 town centers. You don't really need this fish. It's not that important, but I think you want to fight it just a little bit, make your opponent overcommit a little bit on the water as the trireme's starting to pop out. We've got 7 here for Kimo. Count Von Count's going to notice this. Will he start immediate production here, or is he just going to retreat is the big question. It's 7 versus 6, so the trireme here for Kimo definitely having an advantage here. He hasn't started production just yet. Plenty of resources in the bank to start that. So he's deciding against it. With the villagers over on this location, he's going to build buildings potentially. He could go for a fairly big all-in terms of army here for going through like stables or hoplites or whatever he wants. Really can go for a fast heroic behind all of this. Lots of different options here as we do see the military academy coming down. Villagers for Count Von Count jumping all onto this food over here. He's got husbandry. Yes, he does. And an interesting decision as he does decide to pop out over here with some trireme to put some pressure over onto Kimo to make things a little bit difficult. There's 10 trireme pushed through here, and that will give Kimo access to this top side of the water, but at what cost? Because Count Von Count's got the extra town center, but he's actually behind in villager count here, funnily enough. So Kimo's got an advantage for the time being here. It looks like Count Von Count's not actually training villagers out of this location yet. So that's a big, big mistake as he's going to actually have to start farming over there as well. As the trireme here for Count Von Count will be able to win on this fight if he micros it a little bit, but he's not doing it just yet. Do we see Kimo getting some trireme out? Yes, we do. As the trireme here for Kimo moving in and out on these locations here. He just needs to sit here and just Alt-S onto these marky to prevent his opponent from coming through here. And that's kind of what seems like is happening here as he moves forward, and the trireme will be able to remove these fishing ships here as they move back into the dock here. Nice play from Kimo to pick those off as the archery range coming down as well. Still no villagers coming out of this town center as Kimo going to get this town center up. And even though Count Von Count's had that huge advantage of having an extra town center in this game, it's not going to amount to anything here as Kimo gets his town center down and Count Von Count's. That's so disappointing because that's such a big advantage that he had that he didn't take advantage of. And now we're going to have to see the big boom. Kind of. I think there's a couple of options here for Count Von Count to go for. So option 1 is he just makes all of these units and he tries to get to the heroic age and goes for an underworld play somewhere. Potentially on this back town center wouldn't go astray. Like an underworld from here down to here to take this town center down and take out this gold mine could be absolutely huge. There is restoration, but it's a restoration for both players. And I'm not sure he's quite going to be able to make that work and deal with like an Aphrodite. If Kimo goes for Aphrodite, a big curse could be absolutely huge. But we'll see how it's all going to go. And now we'll see what's happening over here. Count Von Count, he has to take a little bit of time here. He's going to be losing all of these trireme, but look at the amount of of production that Count Von Count has forced out from Kimo. Over here, he hasn't forced out. He's lost all his fishing ship for these trireme, but he's forced out so much production from Kimo. And now the army is here. Is he going to go straight after that main base here? The army pushing in here as the sentry tower going to get taken down. We do see the hoplites going to go straight after this main town center. I mean, there's a lot of units here for Count Von Count. He needs to get himself medium infantry here as the Toxotes coming through. We do see Masons coming through while this attack is coming in. The Toxotes is going to be able to take down villagers here as the villagers are attempting to repair this town center back up as best as they can. They will be doing a very, very big job of it, but more units going to be coming through here as the buildings getting spammed out by Kimo. Kimo right now, he's got tons of trireme over here, tons of trireme over here. Look at the population here. I can't do that math. 36 population there as Watchtowers does come through as the villagers getting picked off on this position here. Is this damage going to be worth it though, as a lot of units getting taken out here from just building fire, but the villagers getting picked off as restoration coming through here for Kimo. Count Von Count might just want to retreat now that the restoration is the way and go next age, but he's pushing in as hard as he can here, trying to pick off every single one of these villages as now the units coming in for Kimo. Count Von Count going to be using his own restoration, try and keep his units alive underneath this this tower fire here, picking off more villages here. 67 villages for Kimo as it's starting to plummet here from those Toxotes, but more units coming through. We see one watchtower getting cleaned up here. Imagine if there were Minotaur here from Count Von Count. I feel like that would have been a really, really smart play instead of going in with like all of the hoplites, just pumping everyone onto Temple and chucking a Temple down and make Minotaur to push in here. It's one of those plays that you forget about. It's really, really strong. But the Toxotes are going to be able to take down these villages here in the main base. But Count Von Count spending so many resources to push in here and fight underneath this town center. That Masons is coming in absolutely clutch here in this game as the unit's going to be pulling away for the time being here. As they do turn around and start fighting this one off as best as they possibly can, and they will be pulling back up onto this location now as it looks like Kimo has come to defend himself nicely. He also gets the Hades Shades to help defend, so it's a little bit tough, but for Count Von Count to continue fighting this, but he does get a lot of kills off there, but I don't know if it was worth it. I don't know if that was really worth it there in the end. He picks off some villagers, but I feel like if he put the pressure onto the gold mine or something, could have been an absolutely different story, because it would have made Kimo's life really tough to build units, because that's where the gold mine is. But a big push coming through here now. One of the big micro things you can do with Hades that gives you an advantage in the Greek War is using that Chiron to move back and forth to get some big damage done. But Kimo now 140 to 145 population. He's got the advantage here. He's got 7.8 damage with his medium Toxotes from Hades. That bonus is so big in these fights, and now Count Von Count here is losing every single one of his units, and while he does have full population in terms of villages here, he's so far behind in terms of score and military, and Kimo is going to be able to control the map, and Count Von Count just decides there to give up in that location. A little bit disappointing here. Okay, so the one thing is that I want to make, I think this is the thing here. In your matchup, when you're thinking about strategy and thinking about what you need to do to get an advantage against your opponent, this is Zeus versus Hades. So where are the advantages here in this game? Well, Hades has got the advantage in terms of archers, in terms of buildings here, and what the actual big advantage on this specific map that Zeus would have over Hades, it's actually the heroic age, funnily enough. Getting getting Skylar out here to control the water would have been absolutely huge. But for some reason here, Count Von Count went for a super aggressive classical age fight, where I think if he just went for like a 12 fishing ship build, like a 445, 5-minute advance time, 12 fishing ship, just defend, try and get heroic age off of one town center, make some Scarlet to easily win the water there to find himself that advantage, and then go for like a mythic age Hephaestus and just try and win in that position would have made a lot more sense to me. But he went for this crazy attack. And while it did make a lot of sense, because Kimo could spend a lot of resources going onto the water there, fighting underneath all of these towers was just not the play. This town center over here, however, had had Count Von Count realized that that was the play, instead of pushing straight through here, just walk straight past this. These weren't watchtowers. Just walk straight past this and just come in and start attacking this location here, pushing off this gold mine, pushing off these farms, pushing off these berries. So many villages over here. There's no towers here. He would have been able to take this town center down most likely, or at least held on this position. Could have been completely different, especially if he just took these towers down while he moved through here in order to get his reinforcements in. Alternatively, like an underworld play here could have been an option as well. But Kimo, beautiful defense, as Kimo does best. He is a very, very difficult player to kill, because his defense is so absurdly good. If you guys enjoyed this one, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.